Virtual summits are the most powerful online marketing tool available to grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and create an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. If you are ready to take your summit to the next level, then tune into the Virtual Summit Podcast with Dr. Mark T. Wade.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software and creator of the One Day Summit Formula. And I'm on a mission to help you, the summit host, get your summit out to the world in a powerful and impactful way. So let's get started. Hey, Summit host, Dr. Mark T. Wade here, founder of Virtual Summit Software and your host on the Virtual Summit Podcast. I am super excited for today's episode. We are doing something phenomenal. We're changing something up here. We're adding a little spice to this, and I've got some really, really exciting news. And it all is around my guest here today, Jose Ville, who is joining us. He is the creator of Virtual Summit Labs. He's been consulting for virtual summits for about 5 years now. And I am super excited to announce that he's coming on board over here at Virtual Summit Software. He is our director of our Viral Summits Concierge division, and he is adding some amazing knowledge, expertise, and resources here. Jose, first off, I am stoked to be announcing this to the public, but I'm also really, really thrilled to have you on this episode with me.
I am super excited, man. Not just to join the team, but start spreading the word about virtual summits. More people need to know about this. So I'm super excited to join the team, and I'm super excited to be here too, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Jose is a dear friend of mine, and when this opportunity came about, I didn't even think twice. I was like, I have to reach out to Jose and see if he'll come on board and help us, as he just said, continue to get the message out and evolve summits. We believe that summits need to evolve, and we're going to do everything in our power to make that happen. Now, with that being said, what we've decided, I thought, I got to bring Jose to you all of you summit hosts. What's the best way of doing that is through this podcast right here. So we're going to be doing a regular kind of call with me and Jose where we're going to pick a topic or an idea or even maybe a concern that we are getting and hearing from all of you. And we're going to kind of just pick it apart. We're going to make this more conversational. This won't be an interview style, but it is going to be powerful. It's going to be informative, and we're going to give you some amazing resources. So now we're going to jump into that. What we want to talk about in this episode is we want to talk about the importance of your messaging, and not just messaging in general, but we're going to talk about messaging as far as it comes to your communication sequences, your emails, your copy, your landing page, things like that. So I'm going to throw this over in your direction first, Jose, and I'd love for you to kind of tell everybody what's your thoughts on the importance of messaging, why it's important, and maybe if there's anything in particular you think we should be focusing on when we're thinking about our summit messaging.
Yeah, to me, messaging is one of those things that is critical, but not really a lot of people address right off the get. A lot of times I see people that specifically when it comes to their email copy and all that, they just kind of throw things together to an extent and just go for the typical sales pitch or type of sales copy approach. To me, the first step to really hit home with a messaging that is compatible to the audience is actually understanding who the audience is and how they speak. Because a lot of times we see summits that they feel very corporate and the audience is not that corporate, or they seem too casual for the audience. It's too corporate, and it generally misses the mark. And that happens a lot of times when summit hosts either hire copywriters or hire people to write for them. They're not in the market. So that's something that is pretty important to me, like understanding your audience, understanding who you're speaking with and how they speak. It's probably the first step when it comes to drafting a messaging that is going to hit home. Because if you're speaking or messaging about something that they don't really care about or are stuff that is not even a problem in their lives, why would they even listen? So that's kind of like the first, at the top, who is it that we're talking to and how are they talking and what's their, what they are worried and interested in.
We've done the unthinkable. We've convinced 35 of the most successful summit hosts, coaches, and consultants to give you their prized possession, their Summit email copy. Get more information at summitscripts.com. Yeah, I'd even dig even deeper into this on my side. I think one of the mistakes I see most frequently, most commonly, especially, for example, over in the health niche where I've spent a majority of my professional life hanging out at, is we are kind of experts in our trade, our industry, our niches. You spend a lot of time and energy learning things and in that vernacular. And what we end up doing is we talk a different language than our audience. Like, we talk a professional language, essentially. We talk in words and terminology that they're not familiar with. And so I see a big mistake that's happening is not actually finding out what is the wording, right? Like, what is the language that your audience is talking about? What are some ways, Jose, that you've done in the past to kind of figure out what is the best way to clarify that messaging, if you will, before you set out and even creating your communication and your messaging?
So the first thing that I typically do, and I've been doing this first because my first summit was in actual industry I had no idea about, so I had to do it um, just by necessity, but it actually became part of the process, is listening to what they're saying. And that may sound a little foo-foo, but what I'm speaking about is going to forums in the industry, right? People go to forums to vent about what they're what they're having issues with. If you go to a forum about food and production and gardening and all that, you're going to find what the problems are. You're going to find the popular threats. You're going to find how they're describing those issues. Like, they're having mushy garden. Like, before I went to those forums, I had no idea what they meant, right? So when you go to those places, you'll find A, what the issues are, B, how popular, how painful those issues and problems are, and how they're speaking about it, right? How the jargon, the language. I'm in a survival niche, or I've been in a survival niche, so they talk about EDC, and for a long time I was like, what are they talking about? It's everyday carry. So that's one thing that is, if you're not in the market, you're not going to know, right? So things like that. Another resource is a website called Answer the Public. You basically go in there, type your term, and it'll spit out a bunch of words that are being searched on regarding that topic in the sense of how to do X, how to do Y, and then they're all kind of like the questions that people are asking. So those two resources, forums, Answer the Public, and Quora is another one that I go to. I have another ninja trick that I'll probably we can put it in a bonus, is basically using the Google search for discussions. That's something I'll create a video about it, and then we can post it in the show notes and whatnot. But it's pretty cool too, because it can tell you what this basically searches all the threads that are going on in forums. And so the main point I'm trying to drive here is you go to where the audience is and you listen. You see what they're talking about. You see how they're talking about it. And then from there, the initial idea of your summit might be totally different from the idea you actually walked away after having listened to the audience and having listened to what they're saying.
Those are amazing resources, and we'll put all of those in the show notes. It will be podcast.virtualsummits.com/091. This is episode 91. We are getting up there, Jose. We're starting to get some episodes going here.
I was episode 007.
Jose was episode 007, and we're going to break the 100 episode mark before the end of this year. So that's going to be exciting. Well, and so go check out the show notes for all of these resources. We've got even some more amazing resources coming. And I love this. Me and Jose, we talk summits all the time. Like, we love summits. We live and breathe summits, and we can talk shop about summits like ongoing. And this is one of the reasons we wanted to create this and make this a little bit less formal, less structured as far as the interview format, but just talk concepts. And this concept about messaging, which we both agree is one of the most important aspects, because if your messaging is off, you're never going to even get anybody onto your summit. So I look at it like this, and Jose, you can tell me what your thoughts on this as well. But like, I look at a messaging, there's kind of 3 or 4 different areas of summit success and or failure. Okay. The first one is with the messaging, is if your messaging is not clear, if it doesn't have a hook, if it's not based around a pain point, and if it's not in the language of your audience, they're never going to opt into the summit. So then your summit, if you've done a summit in the past, you can look at it and kind of see, even if it was successful, you can see comparatively where the success was or wasn't. So meaning, if you didn't have very many conversions like opt-ins, it was probably the messaging on the landing page. Then the next step is we want to get them to engage. And we're going to talk about this, I think, thoroughly here in just a second. But the way you get them to engage, that comes through your email communication sequences, your email copy, right? So if they're not engaging, your email copy is not messaged right, written well. The next aspect is like the sales. Okay, that comes down to kind of 2 points, which is the summit offer, and then back to that email copy, because they're hearing a lot about that probably from your email communications. But that then comes down to messaging. Was it clear? Was the offer on point with the problem and the pain point? And then the last part is usually, which most summit hosts don't even think about, is how did it convert afterwards? Meaning your post-summit profit strategy. Most summit hosts don't even think past the summit. And the problem is most of the monetization, as me and Jose both know here, comes after the summit. So you can look at this if you've run a summit in the past, or if you're getting ready to run a summit. These are the areas. And the reason we felt messaging was so important is because in each of these areas, even on the post-summit profit strategy, that comes down to your email communication being able to kind of what we call turn the point, which is where you go from the summit to now what's your next promotion or campaign. That's all done by email communication. So Jose, what's kind of your thoughts on that? Do you have a different viewpoint or any area to add into that?
No, I think that's right on point. And even before the summit ends, even within the same summit, even if you're doing a one-day summit, but your whole campaign of from the moment they opt in, becoming like being a full-on, let's say, cold traffic stranger. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you're all about, but they're interested in what you're talking about. So your job is, after you capture them, is to take that journey with them. Like, what is it? And the way you do this is like, don't just become another email in their inbox. Like, make things interesting, make things entertaining, make things that are different for them, while you're also delivering the reason they're there, right? It's not, nobody's going to listen to your story if there's no point on it, right? You got to drive the point of why they were there in the first place. But having said that, you can make things, interesting and figure out ways to stand out. To me, and this goes back to the human psyche, like, what are the things that when you see them, you have to know? Like, it's like things that are curiosity based, things that are like out of place, things that are incomplete. Our mind automatically needs to close the loop. So that's exactly what we want to do with a lot of our emails is, while you're delivering value, you also want to kind of summon your inner copywriter and open loops, so they have reasons to continue reading and they have reasons to take the step you want them to take. Ultimately, when you send them an email to purchase perhaps the upgrade of your summit, what is the reason you're giving them for them to go click? So that's something that you have to think about, and it has to be, obviously, it's not just a call to action, but you have to make it interesting or compelling enough so they have to go click, they have to go check out what you have next. So it goes back to when you're looking at the experiences someone having while they're in their inbox. First, they have to recognize your name, so that who's that email coming from. If they sign up for the tennis elbow summit, and all of a sudden an email comes from like tennis.com, it's going to be like a little bit of a disconnect. So make sure that the from is there, so they know who's coming from. Then what's the reason they have to stop and open that email? And then, so it's a multiple step process, right? You have to understand that they got to recognize you, they have to be interested and open, and then your email has to be compelling enough so they can read. And after that, click out to whatever it is that you're sending them. So creating an experience for them where you're doing the best way to do this, like what I described, with open loop, curiosity, and things that are like that. So it's kind of a fun thing to do, and also gets them to bond with you and experience who you are and what you're all about. Does that make sense?
Be sure to check out the speaker management tool inside your virtual summit software, which lets you quickly and easily recruit and manage your speakers on your virtual summit. literally eliminating hundreds of hours of work. Get more information at virtualsummits.com.
Oh yeah, and I love that. And actually, when I write copy, that's what I like doing. Is I like one being fully like in my voice. I like it to be like from me, but I like to create like a little bit of emotion in it, like humor or comedy, but also like curiosity. Like I'm opening, as you just said right there, a loop that makes them want to close that loop. And so what that does when it comes from an email copy standpoint, it makes them go forward with that. You let them know the way to close that loop is to go to the next step, which is click this link and then go check out more. So what about your ideas on short form versus long form copy? I know we've talked about this. I'm a long form copywriter, not because I like to, just because I can't stop talking, right? People are like, Mark, quit talking. But it's my voice. It's the way I like to do it. What's your thoughts, Jose? Are you a long form copywriter, short form? And why do you think one's better for one? Like maybe when would be the right time to do one or the other?
So the answer is yes. So both have their place. To me, a short form email type of copy is when you're trying to get them out of the inbox as soon as possible. Meaning, is an email that they already know what what you're about. They know who you are. They know why you contacted them. So it's okay for you to say, "Hey, you forget to take a look at this. Check this out." That email alone, that's a full email, but it's like a three line email. You cannot do that at the beginning of a relationship when they sign up, in my opinion. You gotta basically earn your attention. You gotta earn the attention of the audience. So the long form is more of an entry point type of scenario where you're describing in the best way to do this, to talk about how you can help them, or also what describing the problem back to them. It's interesting to most people, and then creating that sense of, I need to know what this is about, and open loops, closing loops, but also making it so you're always providing value and you're always giving them a reason to stay. Now, the short form is more of a kind of direct sales, which in the goal of that type of messaging is you still want to be engaging, and you still want to have a strong open loop, but you want to it's less of a branding and messaging. You're trying to just get them to click and get them to do an action quicker. So it's kind of a both. It's really depending on where in the customer journey process they are.
Yeah. And for me, one of the things I love about this is like some people love long form, some people love short form. I'm more of a long form person, and, like people that are attracted to that kind of stay on with me, but I feel like it can build a much stronger relationship too, because you can let more of your personality come out. And I'm going to go ahead and actually just walk through my, what types of email communications I use on my summits so that everybody can hear that. But before I do that, I mean, one of the reasons we're even having this conversation right now is because me and Jose were chatting, and we're like, I was like, Jose, what's one of the most common questions you get, or what's one of the most common struggles you've seen with, summit hosts that you've worked with? And he's like, well, it's the email communication. Yeah, they've got other problems and other challenges as well, but they all kind of get this analysis paralysis around the email communication. I was like, wow, this is like the exact same for me. I get asked, if not at least weekly, if not daily, Mark, can I look at your summit email copy, because I don't know where to start or how to do it. And we were talking about this, and we were just like, there really should be a resource for this. And we all have kind of our own individual resources and things like that. Like I said, I've got this framework I'll share here in just a second. But that's when we decided, what if we could bring together some of the top summit hosts in all different niches, like from the prepper space to the sports space to the posture space to the harp space to marketing, whatever, poker space, and just show their email copy. Or even better yet, what if you could get access to that summit host and have them walk you through that? Here's the crazy thing. Me and Jose, he knows, like, if we put an idea into my head over here, I'm kind of the outside of the box crazy guy. I'm like, let's do it. And so that's exactly what we did. Now, it's not available yet. It's coming here in about a week. So stay tuned to your emails. Or you can go to summitscripts.com and you can get access for when it goes live. But we have brought together over 40 of the top summit hosts in the world, and they are giving you access. They're going to do a behind the screens walkthrough of their virtual summit copy. But it's not just that. We're also throwing in several amazing resources. We have a copywriter who's going to be talking through specific summit copy strategies. We also got one of my dear friends, Mike Kim, who's considered one of the top marketing and branding strategists in the world. He's created a free resource for anybody that actually takes advantage of this Summit Scripts Summit. Oh, I should have mentioned that. What better meta way to do this than to release it in a summit, right? So he's given away, or he's created something specifically for all of you who participate in it. Now, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole on that. I just want everybody to know it is coming because we are extremely excited about it. Summitscripts.com. It's going to be available very, very soon. What do you think about that, Jose? We're pretty stoked about this idea, right?
I am super pumped. Specifically, like there's nothing more of it that one of the most dreading feelings in the world is like staring at that blank screen and not even knowing where to start. Even if you just take the resources and just use it as a swipe file, you know those are vetted, proven to convert and to deliver. So I secretly know that I personally want to use just for my own use. I want to have access to all that stuff. So I was super excited that when we were talking about it. So I can't even tell you how pumped I am about it because it'll be so valuable to people. It'll be it'll help them to, because virtual summits are typically a lot of moving parts. And if you're not a copywriter, you know that's another in and of itself a full science. So it's going to help so many people. I know that.
With the Ever Summit feature inside the Virtual Summit software, you can rerun your summit as if it were live, ongoing forever with one click of a button. This now lets you continue to use your summit forever, bringing in qualified and engaged leads every month into your business. Get more information at virtualsummit.com.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it was kind of almost self-serving as well. Like I wanted to have access to some of their minds, and again, a lot of them, over half of them have told us, well, we hired a copywriter for it. There's over $200,000 in copywriting strategy that they're going to be presenting to you on this summit. It's pretty phenomenal. So yeah, you can check that out over at summitscripts.com. It'll be coming very soon. But as we start to wrap up this episode here, I do want to quickly walk through my essentially 6 email sequences. I'm not going to go through each of them. I just want to mention what they are, because if you're starting from scratch, you're like, well, what do I even write? Like, where am I at? How do I do it? So kind of my sequences when you opt in, and I'll tell you when I release each of these. When you opt in for the summit, we have 2 essentially sequences that start. We have a forward-facing and a countdown sequence. My forward-facing is my indoctrination sequence. So that's just a get on board with me, my mission, where I'm going in the world, where I'm trying to rally the troops, and what's the vision and mission. The countdown sequence is more like the early bird sales sequence, as well as the information sequence. So like, what do they need to know before the summit starts to make them most successful? And am I offering any kind of special benefits or bonuses that they can have access to before the summit starts? So those are the first 2. Then we have the summit live sequence. So this goes out when the summit goes live. So every day of the summit, we'll have like a morning, an afternoon, and then a final day email. And that will be like, getting them on board with either a recap of what we just had, the summit recap, or what to look forward to, what's coming next, as well as any kind of pertinent information that they have to have. Then we have a last chance sequence, which is after the summit ends, a last chance to take advantage of any kind of special offers before we either close it down or raise the prices. And then the last 2 are kind of special for me. It's the post-summit profit strategy. So this is the next promotion where we're going after the turn. And then the Ever Summit. Ever Summit is, what we use inside the Virtual Summit software. With one click of a button, it kind of reruns the summit as if it's live, ongoing forever. So we want to go back and use that email copy, kind of neutralize it, take out any date-specific items, and then make it ready to essentially go through Ever Summit. So those are my 6 email communication sequences. We can put a link to those in the show notes as well to get more information on that. And I'll kind of throw this over to you, Jose, right here as we start to wrap this up. Like, do you have any kind of special strategy or a special maybe way like that you either prepare when you get ready to write your copy, or a certain thing? Some writers are out there like, I have to have a mocha, a brioche, and like a certain ray of, chime of bell in the background. Like, do you have any kind of tradition or any ritual you do when you go to sit down and write your summit copy?
No, but I typically, not a specific tradition or ritual or anything like that, but I specifically batch them. So I write all my emails, like if I'm writing 5 or 6 emails, I sit down to write all of them at once. And even if I don't finish them at one sitting, I start all of them at that time, because I get different ideas for different angles for different emails. So I know if I'm speaking about one topic, I just write as much as I can, and then once I'm done with that part, I figure out, okay, it's just one email or 2 emails. Is this one angle, 2 angles? So one of the things that I try to do is, when I'm doing an email, is try to focus each email on one idea, or try to focus on one session, because that gives me, if I have a day, for instance, if I'm doing multiple day summits, a day with 3 speakers, I could send 3 emails out that day rather than just one. So to me, it's like, every email has the link to the purchase. So the more opportunities I give them to go see that link and click on it, the better for me. And one of the sessions may resonate more than others. So rather than bundling all of them in one email, I separate each session as individual email. And basically, it makes for a shorter email, but they're more focused.
Love it. So we're going to wrap this episode up here. Again, check out all the information over at the show notes, podcast.virtualsummits.com/091. You can get access to the resources we've been talking about. Don't forget, get excited. Check out summitscripts.com. And we'd love to get your feedback. This is the first kind of flow through with me and Jose. We're going to continue to improve and raise the standards over here, but we'd love to know what you want us to chat about, and if there's what you loved about it, what you would like to hear about it, and kind of how you would enjoy hearing from us in the future. So you can get in touch with us over at podcast@virtualsummits.com if you want to send us an email. And other than that, I thank you very much, Jose. Thanks for hanging over here and chatting with me.
I'm super pumped. Thank you so much.
And then thank you, all you Summit hosts, for spending this time with Jose and I. I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, your host here on the Virtual Summit Podcast. Remember, your message matters. So go out there and make an impact. Don't forget to check out the show notes over at podcast.virtualsummits.com/091. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on the Virtual Summit Podcast. Head over to the show notes to check out all the links and resources from this episode, and be sure to grab your free trial of the Virtual Summit software.
Now, I want to end this episode by saying to all the Summit hosts listening right now, I believe in you, and you can do this. Summits are by far one of the most powerful ways to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and most importantly, make an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. So don't get caught up in analysis paralysis, because the world needs to hear your message, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So just get started, because imperfect action is always better than no action. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.